Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. So this is going to definitely be a short Mondays with Mr. Happy. I am doing this not live on Twitch today. I just decided to take the day off, relax. I don't really do it all too often. I've been trying to do it a little bit more recently. I can't really take a full day off because I have to record Mondays today, but at the start of SGDQ, it's been some pretty rough times recently. I've got rough times coming up. For those who don't know, I won't be streaming or probably making any videos between July 11th and 13th. July 13th is my father's birthday, so to honor him, I am going back to New Jersey that weekend. It is the same day Octopath comes out, which is one reason why I definitely wanted to have that save file and that speedrun, and why I've been so engrossed in it prior to it coming out. But I'm going to be spending some time with my family, and then on the 14th, I'll come back, and then we can start our Octopath playthrough, plus some video content here on the channel. Before then, we have July 3rd, which is going to be Heaven on High and the new Hildebrand quest in Final Fantasy XIV, and I am expecting, at least my own predictions, that July 17th is probably going to be the day for Pagos, so not a lot of time after I get back to finish up Octopath. But because I've got some of that stuff coming up, I definitely want to make sure that I take a little bit of me time over the next couple of weeks, especially just with Uwu recently, plus Father's Day, plus upcoming. You can tell all these things meld together that sometimes I just need a day to clear my mind. But I'm still going to do Monday videos, so here you go. One thing I'm actually looking forward to, and let me know what you guys think about this idea in the comment section of the video below. YouTube recently revealed a bunch of stuff at VidCon, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how I'm going to incorporate it here into the channel. One of the big things they introduced was the idea of premieres. This is actually a feature we've had on Twitch for a while, but Twitch I always affiliate with live streaming content, so I never really make use of the feature. It's basically the idea that I can send you all a notification in advance that a video will be premiering at a certain time, and those of you who want to watch it as soon as it premieres, or watch it after it gets archived after the fact, which will just be like a normal upload to the YouTube channel, you can choose to watch it live with other people on YouTube when it actually, well, I guess not live, watch it premiere as it's uploaded, and it'll air like at a set time with almost like a live stream style chat. I think YouTube calls it super chat, and then it basically becomes like a premiered video as a live stream, almost in a sense, and you can interact with each other, and there's emoticons. I think the reason that they're mainly doing this is it helps eliminate some of the issues with subscription boxes not properly getting information out to you guys. You know, it happens to tons of other YouTubers as well, and people are always talking about, oh, I didn't see this in my subscription box when it went live, and I didn't know it was there, and we've all been there before. But also, I think they want to use it to promote channel memberships. So if you've watched a YouTube gaming live stream or you've watched a Twitch live stream, you know that a subscription on those platforms, or a sponsorship, I think as they're called on YouTube, they're basically the equivalent of subscribing monthly to a channel to receive certain benefits and perks. Now, because I don't live stream on YouTube, the idea of a channel membership to me almost seems like milking it a little bit. So what I think I'm going to do is, it's an option that it's going to be there, and you know, if people want to use it, they can. But I'm basically going to take my Twitch emotes, and I'm probably just going to upload them to YouTube. And then if people who do use these features frequently decide, hey, we want those things, then it's there. I'm not really planning on pushing it all too hard, and it's kind of the one thing I'm looking at, like, is there even a way to incorporate this? Like, I have Patreon, I have Twitch, YouTube, demonetization hasn't been as bad, and we'll be shouting out our sponsors here in a minute. So it's another revenue source to keep track of, and it's one that I don't even really think I can make you guys feel like it's deserved, like I deserve that extra stream. So when it happens, I guess we'll just see what happens, and we'll work with it from there. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of some of the things that were going on with me, because this is going to be a shorter Mondays with Mr. Happy overall. Now, other than that, I don't really think I have anything else news-wise to say, so let's move into the sponsor list. I'm going to read that at the beginning. If you're already tired of hearing me talk for the not Q&A, which is going to be pretty short this week, like I said, then don't forget that in the description box under there should be a little timer that says when the questions themselves actually begin. But we got to shout out our sponsors. They've been supporting the stream through hashtag demonetize and before all this channel membership stuff that's going on. So let's make sure to shout out these awesome people for supporting the stream over on Patreon, or the YouTube channel over on Patreon. It's more for the YouTube and not really for the Twitch side of things. So we, of course, we have to thank our patron of light, Khuja Cross on the Advent FC on Jenova. On the I don't have to say, I'm so used to doing this on Twitch. On the YouTube side of things, you guys will see an image over the screen right here to that has been submitted by our patron of light. So thank you for supporting, as always, Khuja and the Advent FC on Jenova. You guys have been amazing over the past few months, so thank you. There's not really much else to say there. Then we have all of our sponsors, and it's a long list if you haven't heard it before. The Sabo Empire, Mizra, these are standard sponsors, by the way. Red Wings of Baron FC on Zalera, Fray Blackheart, Cidus Oreo on Shiva, Syd Hellwind of Gilgamesh, Afro Ninja from Malboro, Cheesecat from Leviathan, Sploda, That Lame Weeb, Ashen Emiya of Cerberus, Argoti Tristam on Midgardsormr, Fafarian, Rendil, Giraffeswillrule, Stevie-Rex, and Neon. We have our elite sponsors. We have Shadowlink on the Tonberry server, Dom, Asuka Wake from the Jenova server, Lemilia Nella of Midgardsormr, Sarah and the Avalanche family on Malboro, Janhyua Yotsuyu, Nyrik of Clan Vizsla, Kifka and the Grey Eagles on Exodus, Darkgraver, Katayoshi, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rah Xephon from Exodus, Rynoet Westos the Purple Warrior, Magic Red Steel on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiark, Sour Cream and Tribes from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Goisha Valfer of Siren, Hirsch Versa Fairy, Phoenix Down Free Company on Goblin, Saren from Zodiark, Kana Uzuki of the Jenova server, you can tell I'm out of it. I started reading the premium sponsors just because my brain was on autopilot. So Saren from Zodiark, that's where the elite sponsor list, that's where the cutoff is. The names after that are premium sponsors. Those are Kana Uzuki from the Jenova server, Starla on Coral, Sathal, Sarah Frost from Behemoth, Diablo, Holy Tabasco, Red Thorn Asura, Kurnai Oni, Asgenhawk from Shiva, Oscar, Crass015, Mustang, the Serenity FC on Ultros, Kat Kazuma, Serial Kira and the Reckless Tea Party on Cactar, Ignis Fairgun from Diablos, Valestra of Fanfret, Nox Cordis from Excalibur, Corvus Moonscar, Private Mikey, Spike, Notting Kirasami, Rudy Rudiger, Tin Colossus, Killer Hackman, Roll Jr., Rumio Gaming, and Kiltastic Jones. Thank you, everyone, over on Patreon for the sponsorship, for supporting the stream as you have. And with that, we're going to go on. It looks like we have about 7 questions to answer, and I just took a peek at the first one, so if they're all like that, it's definitely going to be a shorter video from here out. So let's get started. All right, first question here on the forums. Hello, Mr. H.A. SE mentions they're looking to revamp the Minion tab to make it better organized. I feel like with so many minions available and more minions to come, it's such a wasted opportunity to not have a Pokemon-type minigame for these minions. Your thoughts? Thanks. Thank you. So I'll say this right away. Lords of Verminion. Now, obviously, that's not a Pokemon-style minigame, but I think it goes to show that putting a lot of work into a minion system is something that maybe isn't really a great idea, considering the track record with Lords of Verminion. One of my big things when it comes to creating these experiences that aren't really regularly affiliated with an MMO is that they're okay in small doses, but what you're asking for is essentially another full-fledged game within the game itself. You can't just make a minigame that functions like a turn-based RPG and not have it be balanced in some way. You need to consider then going forward, every new minion you release needs to have these stats, these attacks built into it. You need to have the right balance for it. You need to have the right animations for it. You need to have the UI team go and make entirely new assets for all of that stuff. It's basically the equivalent of them doing a full nother game inside of Final Fantasy XIV. So no, I don't think we should ever have things like this, and this is why I regularly advocate against things like Blitzball, against those sort of major experiences that very few people use consistently. It's because that basically when you buy one type of game, you buy an MMORPG, you're buying it initially under the prospect that you're getting that type of game. You know, oh, it's a tab target style MMORPG with raids, dungeons, story, quests, leveling. You know, there's sort of like this standard expectation there, and you're purchasing and paying for that game initially based on those expectations. Now, it's not to say that adding these other experiences necessarily hinders those expectations, but they're not what you kind of went into it with initially. So the expectations there are generally low. Now, for some people, it worked out great. Some people do Chocobo racing all the time. Some people do Lords of Verminion all the time. Some people do Triple Triad all the time. So those kind of things, you know, sometimes it can be an okay investment. But it depends on how much you're really putting into it. And I think for something like this, it definitely crosses the line of just a wee bit too much, similar to the way Lords of Verminion did. If they wanted a Pokemon style minigame, most people would go and buy a Pokemon game itself. You know, they'd get one that's fully fleshed out with a story, with a fully developed world and a fully developed story and lore behind it. Whereas this is just like, oh well, we can battle them. You know, it feels like no matter what, it's always going to be kind of half-assed compared to what you would get with a natural purchase of a Pokemon game. And I feel that way about the other types of mini games in the game as well. So no, I feel like it's not a wasted opportunity. In fact, I think it would be a waste of time to go about trying to develop one of these entire mini games when people are always looking for more difficult versions, or I guess more options or more variety within the confines of the game's normal systems, as opposed to creating a whole new experience that may or may not actually go over well with the demographic you've initially attracted into your game. Alright, question number 2. Hello again, Haps. Hello. This is my first time asking a question, so I have a bonus of having your next bonus double. You know, bonus is definitely a concept that's died down. We need to find a new concept. We went from bonuses being like a standard thing to, how you doing? You doing alright? I'm doing alright. I need to find the next thing that's going to be like our seasonal dumb shit that I do that gets thrown into every video. But thank you all the same. My question for you today is about streaming. I'm trying to get into streaming, but I don't have any equipment aside from my old PS4 headset that happen to work on my PC, and that's not going to be enough. What are some good recommendations for equipment? Microphones, cameras, capture cards, software programs to help people get started, as well as some things people can go without for a while. So getting really expensive equipment is definitely the lowest priority of somebody who's brand new. Yeah, if you can afford it, if you really want to and you feel that way about the quality of what you're putting out there, absolutely. But you know, most people start with just a basic webcam, a basic microphone, you know, basic, just everything's basic, you know, just kind of what would be considered the bare minimums, and that seems to be what you're asking. So if you're looking for a capture card for console gameplay, then something like an Elgato. I have an HD60 Pro, which is an internal capture card. I use it for my Switch, I use it for my PlayStation 4, I can use it for my PlayStation 3, I can use it for pretty much everything that I have that plugs in via an HDMI. Heck, even the City Opera Omnia, which I haven't made a video for in a while, I use it for that too. So there's that's a pretty basic thing. Microphone, I use an Audio-Technica ATB 2020 Plus, the USB version. That's a pretty affordable and very effective microphone. If you want to take it one step further, you want to get a mixer, you can get a non-USB version, get an XLR version, and also buy a mixer. I always had really hard time using a mixer efficiently, which is why I've gone back to a USB microphone. Technically lower quality, and I can definitely do better than that. It just, with how much I guess my pitch varies, I kind of just always throw my settings in flux, and one setting just never seems like it's good enough for my dumb ass. On top of that, you know, if you have a desk and you want to sit the microphone up, you know, you have to consider an arm. I have an arm, so that way it doesn't rest on my desk, so every time I do something like this, it doesn't actually impact it. What's the name of, it's escaping me right now. It's not a boom. It's a shock absorber. There you go. A shock absorber for your microphone is also a good thing to have, again, to help mitigate the sounds. A pop filter, so you can mitigate those kind of popping noises that you can make with your mouth. Those are kind of standard microphone things. Whatever keyboard, mouse, whatever you're comfortable with. Obviously, I'm sponsored by SteelSeries, so if you're looking for a 10% discount on some new equipment, you know who to ask. You know who to ask. Monitors, I'd recommend at least 2 for streaming, just because depending on the size of your monitors, depending on how you like to play your games, sometimes you want to be able to see things like Twitch chat or your actual streaming software, or maybe just internet tab so you can search things up. On top of that, speaking of streaming software, OBS, I'm actually thinking about trying this thing called Bebo. I've heard some good things about it. There's also Streamlabs OBS, which I've used before, and it has studio mode now, so I've been meaning to take a look at that again, but I might try that Bebo one. There's a bunch of other ones out there too, and pretty much all of them work. And I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm missing. Camera, if you even want a camera, it's not mandatory. A Logitech C920 is a really good one. Specifically the C920. Do not get the C922. C920. Get that exact one. Other than that, I'm sure there are other little things you could do, but like those are kind of just minimums. You need to be able to speak to people. You need to be able to live stream. Oh, the big thing I almost forgot. This is more important than anything else. Good enough internet. Make sure you have at least 10 to 15 up, and even that's still kind of on the lower side. As soon as you get above that, it starts getting a little bit more comfortable. You have room to increase your bitrate without dropping frames a lot more, and that boosts the quality of your stream. But I mean, you probably just, you know, as an internet user, you probably want good internet regardless. So just make sure those upload speeds are a little bit higher than you otherwise might have been thinking were good enough. All right, question number 3. Hello, Mr. Happy. I hope you're having a good day. A relaxing day. You can kind of tell. I'm just kind of relaxed today, just trying to keep everything a little low energy. Long-time viewer, first-time asking, so your bonus, hey, we just said we don't get enough of those. As one of the jobs of 5.0 is your all-time favorite. It's going to have to be Puppet Master then, because I want my Puppet Master, damn it. I have 2 questions about jobs if you have time for both. I've got time. Definitely got time this week. One, Square Enix has been on record saying they want to make jobs unique to Final Fantasy for future expansions. Is there a chance they will do a design a job contest like the armor design contest to achieve that? 0% chance of that. Designing a job is not the same thing as designing armor. When you design armor, you're basically just designing the look of something. You're in no way determining the function of it. Armor can have multiple functions. It can be something that just is for visuals. It could be something that provides you statistics, and even then, they have to decide where do those stats go, how those stats are distributed, how rare is that armor. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it that the person designing the armor makes no decisions on. When you do design a job, you can't just say, well, give it these abilities and let the development team decide what like the potencies and percentages are. You don't know what kind of content they're about to design. You don't know if there's going to be things that maybe you didn't think of. A lot of people like to kind of just go directly for what is the core for the job, and then they don't even look at certain things like proper utilities, balancing stuff. Like, basically, there's a reason why a job goes through every team before it ever gets to the live service. It goes through the design team. It goes through the combat designers. It goes through it goes through Yoshida himself. It basically goes through every team because it has to. One person could not possibly, in any reasonable way, design a job and then submit it and then have them go, yeah, that's our contest winner, without it then being completely changed to the point where you don't even recognize the thing that you actually submitted. So there's a 0% chance that one person could ever possibly submit a job design in its entirety and have it be functional in a way that's considered acceptable within Final Fantasy XIV. If you're wondering, well, then they could fly the person out and then they could be part of the design themselves. You don't have to worry about, do they speak Japanese? Is there going to be a language barrier there? Do they then need to hire translators just to get you in there? And that's not something they're willing to do. It also then, they have to announce a winner, and it kind of kills the excitement of picking a winner for something like this, because it's just not, how do I say, it just doesn't work. Like, then it's just like, oh, this person won, so it's that job. Or, we've selected the winner and we're keeping it a secret. Honestly, I don't trust most people to keep secrets. I don't think it would go all that well. So, ultimately, no, 0% chance they ever do that. Until I heard a rumor a job was in the works to release before 5.0. They will never release another job outside of an expansion ever again. They've been very explicit about that. Specifically, the reason being that Ninja was supposed to release with the 2.0 series along with Summoner and Scholar. They didn't finish it in time. So what did they do? They pushed it back to 2.4, and then they had to simultaneously develop that job while designing new content for the game, while also beginning to put resources towards the next expansion, which then had 3 more jobs, and each job takes about a year of development to go through all those different teams. So no, it's never going to happen. I shouldn't say never because I'm not one of the developers. Let's just say they've said they have no intention of ever doing it again. All right, question number 4. Sup, Haps? How you doing? You doing pretty good. Well, I'm doing all right. Before I ask my question, I'd like to say congratulations on your Uwu kill. Thank you. That was a hard-fought victory. Although the kill we got, it was pretty clean. My question for you this week is a little strange, in my opinion. Okay, I want to get into the quote network unquote of highly skilled players. Like those named here. I have a similar mindset as them. I like to min-max, theory crafting, always looking to improve my play. I want to surround myself with more like-minded people. How would I get in that circle? So keep in mind that I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a circle, because these players generally all know of each other, but they don't all necessarily like get together on calls and just talk all the time. So it's more like you just want to introduce yourself into that tier of high skill player, and the easiest way to do that is to join a high tier FC and just be a part of the discussion. If you're not there, if you're not joining these FCs, then you're basically just some guy who is, in the party finder clearing stuff, and that's about it. So if you really think that you're someone who's on the tier of some of the higher skilled players of the game and some of the more notable FCs in the game, then you need to join one of them. I mean, that's pretty much the one way to do it. And if you are someone who really does love to do things like theory crafting and maxing, then you should be posting that kind of work to the internet, so that way it can actually generate discussion, which is something that someone like Aya Liz has done before with their monk content. So you need to contribute and probably join one of the FCs that has the people that you consider part of this high tier circle. I'd say those are probably your two best bets. Making a name for yourself though, because the reason why you recognize these people is because they made names for themselves. So doing what they've done, replicating it isn't necessarily original, but it's effective, and doing that would definitely get you a lot closer to playing with these like-minded players. Next question is a short one. Hello, hi. Nadio in 4.36. Oh, I kind of answered this already at the beginning of the video, I guess. And we get the next Eureka Zone. Well, I'm assuming you're just asking when 4.36 will drop, because we already know that that's when Pagos comes out. My guess would be 2 weeks after 4.35. So 4.35 is July 3rd, so add 14 days. And I said it earlier in the video, July 17th would be my go-to guess. It could always be the 24th, 3 weeks after, but keep in mind that if 4.36 comes out on July 17th, that is the 8-week mark. July 17th, it has been 8 weeks since 4.3 released. I know, crazy, right? Time flies. That puts us at about the halfway point to patch 4.4. So going past that to the 9-week mark, I mean, then you're literally in the back half of the release schedule, and I wonder if they intend that. I also don't know how they plan to, I guess, sort of adjust release schedules based on when the Monster Hunter event is actually going to be happening. But if I had to take a guess, either July 17th or 24th, but I feel very strongly about July 17th. All right, second to last question here. Hey, Haps, another question roulette. All right, crossplay rant. Oh god, you know what? I could probably guess what this crossplay question is without even opening it. If I had to guess, it's the whole Sony Fortnite thing, and then of course that's been translating to conversations about Square Enix and about if Sony would stop Final Fantasy XIV from being, from working on Xbox or Switch. And it's a good question, but I don't know if it's different necessarily for Square Enix. I guess I don't know Final Fantasy XIV's inner workings of how their agreements work with Sony versus how Fortnite's agreements work with Sony. I mean, I don't even know if that's the question. I'm just assuming because that's the only cross-play conversation I could imagine happening around Final Fantasy XIV right now. But I mean, most recent interview says they've, unfortunately they've talked to Nintendo. I don't want this game on the Switch. It's going to be another PS3 debacle, where it's just not a piece of hardware that you can advance the game with and have it available for it at the same time. At least not in its entirety. And then for the Xbox, they keep saying, we've had discussions, and it just keeps going that way, and it's never new news. So unless they publicly come out and say that there's some sort of issue here, I'm just going to say that Xbox is still the problem. I think Sony could present a problem in the future if Xbox finally, gives people what they want and Final Fantasy XIV gets put on the Xbox. But until then, I'm gonna say that getting past the Xbox wall is more important than getting past the Sony wall. Regardless, that wasn't even the question. It's a roulette. I have to pick one. A Visual Dragoon question. Well, I don't want that. So because can I at least see if it was the right one? Yeah, it is. I can already tell. It's shut down. PS Plus online requirement. I have Final Fantasy. Here's Fortnite. Yeah, okay. So let me take the question about neutral damage. A tank pulls a bomber into the trash, the bomber detonates, and the trash pool is killed. I love stuff like that, and should there be more of it? There's already a lot of it. Pretty much almost every dungeon, I think, has some sort of hazard that you can pull enemies into at some point or another. It's not like throughout the entirety of the dungeon, but I mean, even just looking to the most recent one, Swallow's Compass, and the back half, if you stand in the group and you get the AoE targeting you, the wind AoE, anything inside that wind AoE will do some damage and give everything vulnerability up. I'm trying to think of other instances of it because it happens a lot, and I always forget to even consider it, but I know it happens in a ton of dungeons. It's not something that's uncommon, so should there be more of it? I mean, there will be, there has been, and I don't see any reason for them to stop. So yes. All right, and the last question on the forums, and the last question for the video, since no Twitch this week. Hello, Mr. Happy. For some reason, I thought just now to check to make sure I had started recording. My brain's all over the place. Hello, Mr. Happy. First time asking a question on here. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for thanking me. So you're welcome, and thank you. I want to plan to go to FanFest this November, and wanted your opinion because it'll be your first time. My daughter and I both play 14, and we both recently went to the Symphony and had a wonderful time. My question is, would it be worth for us to both go to FanFest together? She's 11, so I don't know how it goes when it comes to FanFest being friendly to children of that age. I've seen pictures of people in what looks like endless lines, so I don't know how that will play out when it comes to her tolerance of something like that. Well, I've never brought a kid, so I couldn't answer that for you either. My tolerance is already at bare minimum. I don't bother with the merchandise line. I don't actually, I'll tell you this, let me read the rest. I want to know if there will be things for her or us both to do that will enhance the experience, have a fun time. So it's going to be kind of weird. I always feel like FanFest is definitely more for the adults than it is for a child. Mostly because a lot of people go and they meet FC members and they just do the random events while they're there. And obviously they want to get excited for all the new expansion information. I guess without knowing, like she could be I don't know your daughter. She could be an incredibly intelligent, incredibly receptive, you know, young girl, but I have no way of knowing that, so I can't make a judgment call based on that. I will tell you this though, even I don't like standing in the lines. The last FanFest, I go for the opening keynote, the live letter, and the panels because those things don't have lines. Technically, getting in to get seated for the opening keynote and stuff like that, that does technically have a line, but then the rest of the point is just sit down and pay attention to the front stage, which is way easier to do. The battle challenges, they didn't even give shirts last time, so I didn't get in line for anything. I just stood around saying hi to people, you know, answering people's questions, and that's my experience because of what I do and, you know, what I make myself available to do at the FanFest itself. An 11-year-old though in Vegas, man, I don't know. I just never feel great about the prospect of having kids in Vegas, period. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of the idea. I don't think it's going to be a good time for both you and your daughter to go. With obviously, it doesn't come from a place of knowledge. I only know how Las Vegas is, and I know how FanFest is, and I don't think that's a good time waiting to happen. It's just like outside of the FanFest itself, if you want to go do something in the evening, like where you can't really do too much. I also don't know what the Vegas rules are on like kids, because you got to walk through the casino. I imagine as long as they're with an adult, it'll be okay, but I actually don't even know what the rules are for Vegas casinos. I never gamble or do any of that shit. So, I don't know. I'm of the opinion maybe FanFest is something you guys watch at home together at the comfort of your own home, and maybe don't commit to going to FanFest itself because, I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a place where you and your daughter do not agree. But anyway, that's the last question over on the forums, and of course no Twitch questions today because I am doing this off stream. So I'm going to wrap up this video, get it rendered, and get it posted. There's the premiere thing's not live yet, so this one's just going to be a regular upload. But keep an eye out for those premieres if you're a subscriber to the channel. It's going to be something that we're just going to see how it goes for the most part. I think there was another feature that they mentioned. There's premieres, which have the super chat and the emojis. There's channel memberships, and I feel like there was one more. There's a merchandise store. That's going to be kind of weird because I have a merchandise store that I technically have already that can be used, but this other one is integrated from a different website, but it's integrated right into YouTube. So we'll see about merchandise. I'm not like a super merchandisable guy. Like I got a logo and I got coffee. That's the big one. We'll see. We'll see what actually ends up happening. I haven't fully decided on all those things yet. But anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Thank you for watching Mondays with Mr. Happy. If you have a question for next week, put it in the forums. You can find the forums in the description of the video. There's Dream Network ones. Just go there. It'll be a designated forum thread. Oh, yeah, it's the 200th episode. I didn't even know, dude. It's almost 4 years. I mean, in a couple of weeks, it'll have been 4 years as well. So do I celebrate 200? Do I celebrate 208? Which, you know, 52 weeks in a year approximately. I guess one of them's a leap year, so we'll go with 209 being the technical point. Plus, I skipped a few weeks here and there, so I don't know. But 200 episodes, man, it's crazy. It's a bit mellow for 200 episodes, but that's just the mood that I'm in today. So anyway, yeah, thank you again for watching. Be sure to ask those questions. Thank you again to our sponsors, our Patreon Elite, all that great stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Keep an eye out for it because you never know when that premiere feature is actually going to be coming out. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, take care.